So welcome back to a new video. Please don't punish me by leaving it right quick because the quality of my camera. I'm very used to recording with the Snapchat. I love the Snapchat. I love the filters. I'm sorry, but please appreciate me for where I am and where I bring to you. Okay, so this time I'm gonna undusting some memories for millennials and revealing secrets or things many C generation guys wonder about how was life back then, how we communicate, how we get to places like in without the Google Maps and the GPS navigator. But first of all, I want to make clear a point that I made clear, I think, in the previous video where I talked about TikTok, about why are we like, and also why I find this war between generations, this war of pride between millennial and C generation ridiculous. I think we need to calm down. We need to remember, like, we are human brotherhood, and we need to take it easy about the differences between generations, because the differences between generations have always existed. They have always existed. So the reason why, in my opinion, but actually I think that's why that we are so like appealing to the past times, the nostalgic videos, and we are making them viral because we see videos talking about how was life before, like which were the ways of entertaining for us, or the millennial TV shows or cartoons, and we highlight it very much because these videos are lately have been getting really viral, but not also the ones talking about, like, not also the ones that are of millennial generation, but also the ones that are of these AI videos that bring you back to the 60s, to the 70s, even the 50s, the 80s. So it's not all just about millennials. There are so many videos about so many previous generations. So the reason why they get so viral, the reason why they are catching up our attention that much, is because the brain, when you have memories of pleasant times, special moments of your life, memories, special memories of whatever situation that you remember as something happiness, something pleasant, special, like with your family, whatever. It can go from as simply as a song to like a movie, a TV show, like I was saying. And the brain doesn't tell the difference if it's a memory or if you are actually experiencing that. Like the brain just experience it like you're experiencing those moments again, in real time. Nowadays it is reality, horrible reality. But I mean, and that's why they get so viral. Everybody is enjoying these memories. It's not a matter of, oh, we are gonna make them viral because we want to prove the C gen and the alpha gen that we are the best. We were the best ever. We look how beautiful things were before, and look how special we were before. Like, here in your faces, feel envy of us. Not at all. No, that's not the reason. I just gave you already the most logical explanation, because it's also like they dumb, like pretending to show out that we or them are a better generation, that millennials or X gens, boomers. Actually you might be thinking, oh well, actually you might be thinking, like, I don't know, like millennials were the best generation because they have everything. Yes, it's a fact that we have the best of both worlds. So we get to enjoy how life was before the smartphones existence and all this hyper connected technology and society. But at the same time, like, and at the same time, the technologies, the newest, like the most advanced ways of technologies, such as remote video phone calls, like getting music download, like Spotify, YouTube, without having to go to a music stores or CD music stores, whatever. But I don't think we were the happiest generation. I don't really think so. Like, if you need to look at how the life was back in the boomers youth, I think they probably were the happiest. I get the feeling, because when the boomers were young, like, they were not all this horrible news. Since millennials, we start growing up, we grew with all this horrible news. Since we were really little, like, we start experiencing, I would say, since I have memories, since we were teenagers. I remember we used to saw all this horrible news about wars between countries. When I was like a kid, I remember the war of United States against Iraq and Afghanistan. It was the United States versus these two countries at the same time. Once I remember that the internet already existed by the time I surfed on the web, and I think I was not using Google this times yet, but I searched on the Bing of Microsoft, I think, pictures of the world. For some kind of reason, I was curious. I was like, okay, let's see what's going on in this country, And oh my God, it really broke my heart, because I think back then, like, the internet was not so censored, Like, I guess I saw pictures that nowadays you will only find in the deep web, you know. But when I saw these pictures, oh my god, I feel so, oh my god, so down, you know. Like I was so upset. I was like what the fuck is the United States doing like to these people? Why like this, you know? So of course we already grew with the worriness, stress of what the hell is gonna be the future, what's happening, you know. But obviously the internet wasn't so spread like it is nowadays, especially with the smartphones. We were not like hyper connected like we are right now. But I'm really sure that all the generations starting from boomers and back then, the previous generations before boomers, except for maybe for the generation that's over the first and the second global wars, were happier than, you know, millennials. Even maybe the X gen, but for some kind of reason, I have here comments that I have here comments about, you know, the X generation was quite ignored a little bit by the mass media, maybe. But I like them, you know. I have seen some videos of, you know, lately in Spanish. I start seeing a video of a YouTuber that he make videos in Spanish talking about all these differences between generations, how life was back then, you know. And I don't see him as a rival, you know. I don't feel any kind of rivalry. Whatever, I think all this is stupid from both parties, you know. And we need to chill and take it easy. Don't take it personal. We just feel well seeing these videos. That's why we make them viral, you know. Because when every time we react to this type of reels or whatever, they grow and they grow and they grow the virality. So it's gonna keep showing up in your feed, especially if you as a C or as an alpha generation, you click and click and click and click and click, and those videos, they're gonna keep showing up in your feed, whatever. So after that say, let's go with this topic about clearing up the doubts that many C generations especially wonder about how life was back then. The first doubt that many of you tend to have is how did you meet up with people? You struggle to process the idea of if we agreed to meet people at 5 p.m., for example, on a street corner or in a shop, and the person didn't show up, you couldn't just send a WhatsApp. You simply waited or went home. Yeah, like I'm gonna explain this. Okay, what we used to do when we agree meeting someone somewhere, you know, like in the corner of a street, yeah, for example, like we just try to be as punctual as we could, you know, for we in those years, like being late more than 10 or no, more than 15 minutes, between 15 minutes and 20 minutes. You were late already. We used to wait, you know. We used to wait. Like we have patience. We have values. We were more patient in terms of patient values. We used to wait. We just, yeah, like I will say the limit of waiting was like between half an hour maybe, assuming that you know, something happened in the way to us, you know, in the track, or yeah, a delay, you know, or something. But I would say the maximum time we used to wait was like 40 minutes because back then, like, we also have like we didn't have the technology, you know. Life was more simpler, you know. Like life was chill. We used to depend too much on the others in terms of, you know, having a hobby or distractions, you know. So we just used to wait. And there were also like when we were waiting between 10 to 15 minutes or 20, let's say, they were back then. And this you know, telephone cabins, they still exist. I still see them, especially, I don't know, in Latino countries from where I am, but like here in Canada, I still see these telephone cabins, you know. And there were more back then, and they were spread everywhere. So we used to call to the house of a person to know if she forgot about the meeting, or if she, we used to call the phone, the phone number of the house of the friend or the person to know if they finally get the fuck out. Sorry, if they finally get out to meet us, you know, or they're in their way. Normally, when you used to call the number of the house, obviously somebody pick up the phone. It was normally, you know, brothers or the parents, and they could tell you, yeah, she just left like, I don't know, 10 minutes ago. But we did have, you know, communication. Like these phone cabins where they were way more, they were more spread, and there were plenty more before the existence of the cell phones. We have a lot of them. I remember like it, you know. Yeah. Now, how did you get to places? Talking about the mystery of not having Google Maps or the GPS navigator, right? Well, back then, we since all this technology didn't existed, or many sources of entertainment we're exploring, we used to get out of the house with an enough frame of time in case we get lost, you know. Like, I remember with my parents when we used to have like familiar parties with our aunts. You can really wait, please be patient with me. If the party was at 3 p.m. or 4 p.m., you know, the meeting time, we used to leave the house, and especially if it was in a new different address, we used to leave the house with a frame time of like For example, and when it was a house of let's say the house that we were used to always go, you normally memorize. You used to memorize the track to the way of your aunts or grandmother house, grandparents' house. You used to memorize it. Normally, that was a trick. That was a key. And when you used to go to a new place or new places, like back then, we used to use these maps, physical maps actually. Like they were common to use. This I don't know if you have go lately to, I don't know, let's say if you ever go to Disneyland or have went to Six Flags, even to a touristic city, let's say Paris, let's say Toronto, let's say Miami or California, LA, whatever. You ever get at least one of these touristic maps where you can see? I think you get them in the cities, but especially they are still very common or popular in the thematic parks like Disneyland or Orlando, Universal Studios, whatever. These maps, physical maps, were very common to use back then in those years. So we used to use them. Yes, for sure, we used to use them. We didn't have any issue. Like I said, back then we didn't have too many hurries. We didn't. This new generation, even the millennial and especially the Z, and even more the alphas, we are known as a immediate love, immediate everything. We're used to have all this like this, like instant, immediately. But back in those years when I was a kid and even a teenager, like we had too much patience and we had too much free time. When we were out of school, the weekends that we were off work or off school, we just have too much free time. We didn't have the technology, the addiction, the dependence on technology, the hurry of being back home at a specific time, because I'm very anxious of seeing this new season of this reality show, or seeing this new season of or these new videos of this YouTuber, me, seeing this new whatever. The hurry of being back home, because I can't wait to be laying on my fucking sofa or seated in my couch, just eating snacks, popcorns on my own and scrolling a cell phone. We didn't have this, We used to appreciate more even to each other because we just have each other, So yeah, that's how we used to get to places. Also, if we were really, really struggling to get into a place, especially this stopped being common since the existence of the emerging of the smartphones, but it's still common or usual in Latin America that if someone is lost, they might ask you. They get to ask to someone, They get to ask to somebody, to a people, So that was another thing too. We just asked for directions and addresses, and people, they were so empathetic. Like the values were way more better. If you were a C generation, especially of the youngest ones, like the ones that are less than 25, the ones, yeah. And if you date someone that is in their early 30s or older, like you're gonna see that we have more like love attachment or like more values, towards the people, towards others. Things were just different. How do you know things? The existence of encyclopedias as the only source for quick facts is a foreign concept. C generation can conceive of having to physically, or alpha generation, they can conceive of having to physically go to a library to find a random piece of trivia. Yeah, that was the only way. Encyclopedias, going to the library, maybe reading newspaper. Also, like maybe reading magazines, especially in terms of the trending clothings, the new trends, the astrology signs, information of this kind of, that is more for like, that was more for, well, still, most for the youth. Like, yeah, we used to read magazines. We used to have, I don't remember the word of these things in English, I'm gonna put in a sticker somewhere here. When it was in terms about doing homework for school, we used to purchase these papers. Analog privacy. They are intrigued by the fact that you could just disappear if you were not at home. No, if you weren't at home, no one could reach you. There were no read receipts, no real-time location sharing, and no constant digital footprint. Yeah, like when I used to go out playing with my neighbors, they just show up at my door. They yell at my name, and sometimes if I was at home, I get out. I used to go out to show up like myself, and if I wasn't home, just my parents just say she's not at home, or she get out with her mom, whatever. Yeah, that's how it was. Last question. How did you date? They find terrifying or fascinating that to talk to someone you have to call their landline and likely go through the filter of the parents first. Yeah, this was how we used to do it. Like I remember, yeah, my parents used to hang up the phone most of the times when they were guys, and my brothers, my two male brothers, if any of them used to hang up the phone, they answer or whatever. But I remember they used to seem quite jealous or angry when guys, male, not girlfriends, but like male friends used to call me, Yeah, they used to act a little bit jealous, but yeah, that's how it used to be.